Hi, everyone. We are back for another masterclass. And today we are going to focus on a little grammar construction that is connected to something else that we recently did, which was the construction despite. And we're going to follow on with that, and we're going to actually amplify it by talking about the grammar construction, even though. Okay, even though, and it's an important one because when you're thinking in Spanish, you probably want to translate the word aunque, and when you want to translate that, even though is one of the options that you can choose. And as usual, Alistair is here with me. That is one option, right, Alistair? Even though.
Yeah. We were thinking that you can say although is also possible.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably more common perhaps to say even though. We were trying to think, why would you use one or the other? Because strictly speaking, they both mean aunque.
Yeah.
And well, we think, we're not sure, that it's even though sounds more emphatic. So if you're really trying to emphasize that aunque, that comparison or whatever it may be, then I think you tend to go to the even though more than the although. But you
That's
can
right.
use both. So just so people know, it is possible. So the
That's right.
examples we're going to give could be substitute. You could substitute even though with although,
That's
but
right.
we quite like using this even though that people use a lot. And I think it does sort of sound a bit more emphatic, perhaps, or stronger than although.
Yeah, I
That's all
think.
we can think of
Yeah,
as to why there's a difference.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is a little bit more emphatic. That's true. Um, and yeah, it's just another tool, let's say, in your toolkit in terms of being able to express yourself. You know, there are many different grammar constructions, many different ways of saying things, and the more you know, the better it is, right? The more adaptable your language can be.
Yeah,
So,
indeed.
using even though is a good option. So maybe the best thing here, Alistair, is to literally give some examples, right? And the classic one, I suppose, would be the whole idea of sort of the British rain and going out for a walk, even though it's raining. It's kind of like something. It's kind of interesting because when I go back to the UK and it's actually raining, I'm kind of in many ways tempted to not go outside because I'm just not used to going out in the rain anymore. And so when I go back, I'm kind of like, okay, I guess I should go out even though it's raining. Do you know?
Yeah, otherwise you'd never go out, I
Well,
suppose.
that's right. You never
It's a
leave the
bit like
house.
north of Spain too, people living in, I don't know, Basque Country or Asturias, Galicia. If you never went out because it's raining, you just never go out. Well,
It's
that's
true.
an exaggeration, of course, but so then people from rainy climates like the UK or even the north of Spain, um, you'd say, well, it's raining, but that doesn't stop me going for a walk. Just put on a raincoat or take an umbrella and doesn't matter.
That's
So you'd
right.
say, even though it's raining, you still go out for a walk.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you probably wouldn't walk very often
Yeah.
if you live in the UK particularly.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, that's the kind of classic example, isn't it? And that could be, as I said, replaced. That even though could be replaced by although or despite as well, as we mentioned at the beginning. But again, it's important to have those alternatives, isn't it? Maybe we can give some more examples. Do we have some more examples in terms of a sentence, Alistair? I mean, this is certainly going to be the idea, isn't it, in terms of the actual challenge to our fluency community members, is to come up with a sentence that they might need in a sort of business context as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, I don't know, you could think of like a colleague who came to the meeting even though he wasn't feeling very well, for example.
Yeah, even though he was ill,
Yeah.
he still came to work or he still attended the meeting. No, that's
Yeah.
often the case that so, well, I'm freelance, I'm self-employed. So they always say when you're a freelancer, you can never be ill,
That's right. It's true.
basically, because you have to. So, even though I feel ill, sometimes I still work.
Yeah.
I'd have to be very ill not to give my
Yeah.
classes or my
Yeah.
coaching sessions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's a good example. Or in work, even though the company was losing money, they decided not to sack anyone, which would be very generous of them.
Yeah.
Or even though the profits were down, they still gave the employees a pay rise,
That's right.
despite. So that's where it links with the despite, in spite of that we did before. No, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the same. You're saying the same thing in a different way, and it's
Yeah.
useful to have the tools to be able to express the same concept in a different way. So you
Yeah.
could say, despite the fact, or in spite of the fact, the company was losing money or the profits were down on last year, they still gave their employees a 5% pay increase.
Yeah.
Or you could say, even though the company's profits were down on last year, they still gave their employees a pay rise.
Yeah.
Those
I
two
think.
sentences mean the same thing, just
Mm.
in a different way of saying it.
Yeah, the position of even though is interesting there as well, isn't it? Because similar to those other options that we've kind of talked about, you can in many cases probably use them either at the beginning of the sentence or the middle of the sentence. That's probably most of the time with the options that you have, right? Your sentence that you just
Yeah.
created there was at the beginning, even though no.
Yeah, you
So it's
could
kind
put it
of
in the middle, couldn't you? So you could
yeah.
say, I have to think of the sentence again.
Well,
The
it could
company increased the employee's salary, even though
exactly.
they were losing money or profits were down on last
Yeah,
year or last quarter. Or so you can
that's
put it
right.
at the beginning or in the middle.
That's right. So, in terms of position in the sentence, most of the time it will be either at the beginning or the middle. Those
Yeah,
are
I think
the
it can't be at the end, can it?
no,
No,
definitely
no,
not.
you've got it
No, no,
because you've got to have something after it. So
that's right.
you can't finish your sentence with even though.
Yeah, because it's a way of contrasting, really, isn't it? It's kind of
Mm.
like or comparing in a way, sort of like saying one situation with another situation, right? He
Mm.
he came to the office even though he was ill, so it's kind of like you've got the office and being ill, and you're comparing the two. So you can like on either side of that, even though you've got those two different contexts, haven't you?
Yeah, so you
So
can't finish with even though. It doesn't
no,
make any sense. You go
yeah,
even though what?
mm,
So you've got to
yeah.
have something after. So yeah, it can go in the beginning, can go in the middle, but it
Mm.
can't go at the end of your
That's right.
sentence.
Yeah. There's another expression called is even so. Even so is slightly different. We probably won't get into it now, but there you could
Mm.
potentially put that one at the end. But don't get confused with that because it's even though
You
you're not
could,
even.
yeah.
Yeah. You know,
He was ill. But he came to the office even
even
so.
so. Yeah.
So there you could put it at the end, but you've got
You
to
can.
change it.
Yes.
You
You
can't
got
put
to
the
change
even
it.
though. It's got to
That's
be
right.
even so. But we're
Yeah.
not going to go there for this particular masterclass. We may discuss it in the session next
That's
Thursday.
right. That's right. It's a nice one as well. And we were actually originally talking about the word even, which is kind of very interesting as well. Is one of those words that has a whole, and we might do those cover
Maybe
some.
next
Yeah.
masterclass we could maybe go on to just the word even alone without
Yeah.
the though and look
Yeah.
at the different meanings it has. We thought of at least three, I think, different meanings of even.
That's
Nothing
right.
to do with even though.
That's right.
So maybe
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
could be, yes, could be a future
Yeah.
masterclass
I mean,
challenge.
it's just a very interesting word in the fact that in many cases people just get it very confused when they're thinking about numbers, right? Because like even and odd, it's kind of like when
Yeah,
when people ask me about numbers, and they say, "Oh yeah, how do you talk about the different types of
yeah.
par and
Pares and
pares and
impares.
impares?" And then when I actually give them the answer, they kind of in many cases don't like the answer because they kind of say even and odd. That is so strange. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Or
they
they know even as a different thing.
that's
So they
true.
say, but
Yes.
even is incluso. And they go, yes,
Yes.
it is. But it
Yeah.
also means
That's
even
right.
numbers.
That's right.
So yeah, it can be a confusing word because yeah, it's quite complex. There's different
Mm.
uses, different meanings. And also you may think, so the opposite of even number logically might be uneven because
Yes.
uneven does exist as a word,
That's
uneven,
true.
but
That's
it's not
true.
the opposite of an even number.
That's right. That's
The
right.
opposite is an odd number.
Yeah.
And I think the word odd is quite odd. It's quite an odd word.
I
So
was I was gonna go
we're
I was gonna go there as well, Alistair. I was gonna
yeah,
go
we're
there.
going
But
off the topic here,
we
but
are, but no, but it's interesting because odd is probably the word that the most Spanish speakers don't like because they kind of know even, but then they go odd. Doesn't that mean strange? Or
yeah,
like so that's
yeah,
kind of a
which it
whole
does.
other
So
well
odd
it
means
does.
strange.
It does, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
very strange. So in English, when you describe a person or a situation as like impar,
Mm.
it means strange, raro.
Yeah.
So for some reason, we think of the even numbers as being normal, and
Yeah.
the odd numbers are
Yeah.
strange, like 1, 3. How strange!
How
I mean,
strange.
I
That's
don't know if
right.
we don't actually think that, but it's
No,
interesting, isn't it? How
it is.
we
It
have this
is.
concept that odd numbers, the word odd, also means strange,
Mm. Yeah.
which is quite odd. It's quite strange.
Good. Anyway, we're getting off topic, which is
We're
we
off
go back to
topic.
even though. Yeah, even though. So
Yeah.
yeah, even though, absolutely. And so the idea here is that to think of different constructions, different context in your life where you could potentially use that construction, especially in a business situation. I think that's always really useful to have that. Try to think of a situation where you might need it in a work situation, right? When are you going? When are you going to use aunque in your mind in a business situation, and how quickly are you going to be able to translate that into English? And what options would you choose normally? And I think that's really important to kind of get that clear in your mind, so that it can be like lightning fast, right?
Yeah. So if you're doing the filming yourself challenge, which, please try to do those. It's always great to see them.
Absolutely.
And I can look at them and comment on them. Try to give us maybe 2-3 sentences. Examples can be real or invented, preferably in a business context, maybe is the best, with even though.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Be good. Now, if you can even, here is incluso.
Yeah.
If you can even get the word odd in there, then that would be that would be brilliant.
It would be even better. Yeah.
But it would be even better. Incluso.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good. Alistair, thank you very much. That's amazing. So yeah, even though, there you go. A new construction to add maybe, or to perfect, depends on your particular level. Maybe you know it already, but it's just getting that speed, getting it up and running, making sure that you know where to go when you've got that word aunque in your mind. Alistair, thank you very much for your time. And I will see you again next week. Okay?
Yeah, see you soon.
All right, speak soon. See you then. Bye-bye.